What's going on, all my favorite tube heads out there in YouTube land? Bluray 1976, also known as Evil Eddie, coming at you with another video for you. It's what I like to call my supersized DVD update with a side order of Blu-ray. And as you may or may not know, it's been about a month since my last video. I've acquired quite a bit during that time, around 24 movies altogether, and I got a lot to go through and a lot to show you, and I like to try and keep it under 20 minutes if at all possible. So without further ado, let me go ahead and jump right into it and let's get started. Alright, the first thing I picked up here, I found this at the flea market for $5, and throughout all the wars throughout history, I've always been fascinated with World War II the most, and I found this really cool documentary. It's called The Occult History of the Third Reich. It's a 3 DVD disc set. The first disc is called The Enigma of the Swastika. Second disc is an Adolf Hitler documentary, and the third one is called the SS Blood and Soil. It comes with lots of biographies on Hitler, Hess, Himmler. Has lots of history on the swastika, paganism, the Fuhrer. Even comes with a trivia game. Pretty cool. I couldn't pass it up for just $5. Alright, I'm a big fan of this character. I love the movies. I like the TV show. I love the comic books and the magazines. So I had to pick up the cartoon, and that is Conan the Adventurer. I have not seen the new movie yet. I've heard it's crap. So thank you, Hollywood, for taking another big dump on one of my favorite childhood movies and favorite childhood memories. But yeah, I heard the cartoon's pretty good though. Of course, it's very watered down. It is a Saturday morning cartoon after all. But I thought it was pretty cool they did a Saturday morning cartoon based on such a dark and violent character like Conan. And this is the first 13 episodes of the season 1. So I was real happy to get this. Got this at Walmart for 15 bucks. Alright, the next one I picked up, I actually found at a pawn shop for $2. I always wanted to see this movie. I'm ashamed to say I've never seen this movie, being a big sci-fi fan that I am. But it is regarded as a classic sci-fi movie, and movies to this day are still inspired by this movie. And if you ever pay attention to the opening lyrics of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, they even mention this movie, and that is Forbidden Planet, starring a very, very young Leslie Nielsen, long before he was ever Detective Frank Drebin, starring Anne Francis. Looking very forward to sitting down and finally watching this, and it's regarded as one of the greatest all-time sci-fi movies ever. Alright, the next movie I picked up, I found this at my local mall. It was on sale for $10. I always wanted this movie, always heard good things about it. So I was very happy to find it on sale for 10 bucks, and I went ahead and picked it up. That is Humanoids from the Deep. Roger Corman presents the Humanoids from the Deep. I believe he was one of the executive producers on this. He didn't direct it. It was actually directed by a woman named Barbara Peters. But yeah, it's if you're a fan of the old school 1950s and 60s old-timey monster movies, this is just a really good 1980s monster movie. It's got lots of blood and gore. It's got lots of hot naked chicks. But it also actually has a really good plot to it. It's not just another dumb monster movie with no storyline. It's actually really good. I watched this with my friend Chris not too long ago. We both really enjoyed it. It far exceeded both our expectations. We were both really, really enjoyed this movie. I highly recommend Humanoids from the Deep. Alright, next on the countdown here, I love the TV show this is based on. I have the entire series on DVD. This movie is hilarious. I thought it was very funny. I love Rowan Atkinson. He's one of the few comedians that can make me bust out loud laughing and it doesn't even have to say a single word. and that's Mr. Bean's Holiday. I thought this movie was hilarious. I love Mr. Bean. Rowan Atkinson, in my opinion, is a comedy genius. I thought this movie was very funny. And looks good next on my shelf next to my the whole Bean collection. Alright, next on the list here, I got a big H.P. Lovecraft fan and trying to get all his movies based on all his stories. And this is one of the best, in my opinion. I'm also a big Stuart Gordon fan, and I think this is one of his very best. And that is From Beyond, starring Jeffrey Combs. Big Jeffrey Combs fan. Also starring a very hot and very naked Barbara Crampton, so you can't go wrong there. But yeah, this is the unrated director's cut. I got this at my mall. It was on sale also. I went ahead and picked it up. Had it on VHS, but I really wanted to upgrade it to a DVD, and I'm glad I did. From Beyond. Highly recommend this one if you've never seen it. It's a great horror movie from the 80s. One of the best. Alright, had this on VHS also. Wanted to get it on DVD. I have part 2 on DVD, and I'm a big Kevin Smith fan. And got this at the pawn shop, $2. It's Clerks. One of Kevin Smith's best. It's his very first movie. This is the movie that got him recognized, got him rolling. And there is another version of this out there. It's like a big deluxe 2-disc set. And I eventually will get that sooner or later. Yeah, Clerks, hilarious. One of Kevin Smith's best. Check it out. Alright, this is a guilty pleasure of mine, and it's regarded as one of the worst movies ever. But when I was growing up, I had the biggest crush on Leah Thompson, who hopefully I'm going to meet this month at Scarefest in Lexington, Kentucky, and I might take this movie and get her to sign it for me. And that is Howard the Duck. Yes, it's Howard the Duck. The biggest flop in George Lucas's career. And like I said, this movie is bad, but it's so bad it's good. And Leah Thompson, I could just stare at her for 90 minutes anyway, so why not? Got this at Walmart for $5. Alright, I also picked this up at the pawn shop. Got it for $2. It's another favorite 80s comedy. I watched this movie a lot growing up, and Ali Sheedy is another one I had a crush on. And that's Short Circuit. Ali Sheedy, Steve Guttenberg is also in this, and I'm sure most people are probably familiar with Short Circuit. It's about Johnny Five, a robot, gets struck by lightning, comes to life. Alright, moving on. I've always wanted to sit down and watch this movie all the way through. I've seen bits and pieces of it here and there, but I have never got the chance to sit down and watch the whole movie all the way through. It's regarded as a horror masterpiece. A lot of people love this movie. A lot of people don't care for this movie. I know a few people that don't actually care much for this movie. But I picked it up at the pawn shop for just $2, and that's Rosemary's Baby. Roman Polanski, the guy that did responsible for The Exorcist. Mia Farrow, very young Mia Farrow. I'm looking forward to finally sitting down and watching the whole thing all in one setting. Alright, this one's another 80s classic horror, and this is the original version they put out. I know years later they put out a different version with a different soundtrack. Now I don't know if this one has the original soundtrack or the edited soundtrack, or what the deal is with that, so if anybody knows, let me know. But this is the original Happy Birthday to Me. I love this cover. I didn't care much for the cover art on the re-released version. I thought it was pretty crappy. But saw this movie years ago. It's actually really good. I love the twist in the end. I remember being completely thrown off by the twist in the end. I didn't see it coming. And but yeah, Happy Birthday to Me. Picked this up at the pawn shop, $2. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I picked this up at the flea market for $2. Couldn't pass it up. Alright, this is part 2 in a trilogy. I had part 1 and 3 already on DVD. I had this on VHS, but I wanted to go ahead and get the second one on DVD. And that is Die Hard Part 2 with Bruce Willis. My least favorite out of the Die Hard trilogy, but still yet nonetheless a really good action flick. Because 1 and 3 are just so great. 2 is you know, it's good, but not quite as good as 1 and 3. But I wanted to go ahead, pick it up, complete the trilogy. Now I have the whole trilogy on DVD, plus it has a cool slipcase cover. I like that. Very nice. Found this at the flea market, $2. Alright, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a big H.P. Lovecraft fan. I'm trying to get all the movies based on H.P. Lovecraft. And this one, I had part 1 already. Wanted to go ahead and pick up part 2. Saw this years ago, don't remember much about it, but I loved the first one. And I remember the second one was really good too. Not quite as good as the first one, but still a good one, a good sequel. And that's The Unnameable, Part 2. This was stars John Rhys Davies, based on H.P. Lovecraft tale, based on a story, an original H.P. Lovecraft story called The Statement of Randolph Carter. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching this again after so many years. Alright. I had several of these in this series. I have the Phil Hartman, Dana Carvey, Adam Sandler, Chris Farley, Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi. I believe that's all the ones I have. Will Ferrell, I have that one. And I wanted to go ahead and pick this up. Found this at Big Lots for $3. It's the Best of Jon Lovitz on Saturday Night Live. He was one of my favorite cast members on Saturday Night Live back in the late 80s, early to mid 90s. He's hilarious. I love Jon Lovitz. And this has me and Jex from Cinebro Supreme was actually talking about this not too long ago. And it's kind of funny, the day we were talking about it, I went out and actually found this at Big Lots and for $3, and I was like, I've got to pick this up. It's an omen. It must be a sign. You know, so I went ahead and got it, and and I could never get tired of watching Hanukkah Harry. But yeah, Jon Lovitz on Saturday Night Live. Very funny. Alright, I also found this at the pawn shop for $2. Couldn't pass it up. This is the special collector's edition of Vincent Price triple feature. Has The House on Haunted Hill, The Bat, and The Last Man on Earth. I didn't have any of these except for The Last Man on Earth, which I had a burnt copy of it. So I went in and picked it up, $2. Couldn't go wrong. Big Vincent Price fan. Can't get enough Vincent Price in your movie collection, no matter what. So yeah, Vincent Price, triple feature. Alright, this one I found at the flea market. I think I actually paid $1 for this. But the cover art really stuck out to me and I couldn't pass it up. And that is Dracula versus Frankenstein. There's two different versions of this movie. One that came out in '72 and one that came out in '74. Both have the same title, but two completely different movies. And this one actually has Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, the Mummy, and they even throw in a couple of aliens for good measure. But yeah, it's very low budget, very cheesy. I don't know. Actually, I don't even know why they even call it Dracula versus Frankenstein, because Frankenstein actually fights the Wolfman in it, and Dracula fights some other guy. But still, yeah, pretty cool. For $1, couldn't pass it up. Alright, I had this on VHS, went ahead and upgraded to a DVD. Found this at the flea market, or at the pawn shop, I mean, for $2, and that's Pacific Heights with Melanie Griffith, Michael Keaton, Matthew Modine. Goes to show you, Michael Keaton, nobody can play a crazy guy like Michael Keaton. And believe me, he is crazy in this movie. Totally psycho. But yeah, a good thriller. Check it out. It's not anything spectacular. It's not going to blow you away, but definitely worth a watch. Check it out. The next one I picked up at the pawn shop for $2. I'm not a big Tom Hanks fan, never have been. Just don't care for him much. Something about him I just don't care much about. But I did pick this up because it does have Monique Gabrielle in it. She does get completely nude in this movie, and I'm a big Monique Gabrielle fan. And that is Bachelor Party. Very sleazy early 80s comedy starring Tom Hanks. It's nothing great. It's worth a watch, I guess, if you don't have anything else to watch. But definitely check out Monique Gabrielle's nude scene in it. That alone is worth $2. Alright, moving on. Picked up Hell Ride at the flea market. $2. Quentin Tarantino is executive producer. It has Michael Madsen, David Carradine, Dennis Hopper, Vinnie Jones. I watched some of this, didn't watch all of it. From what I've watched, it's okay. Nothing great. It's so-so. It's nowhere near as good as Machete or Planet Terror or From Dusk Till Dawn or anything like that. It's alright. I may keep it, I may not. I may eventually sell it or trade it. Just mainly wanted to check it out. It does have a lot of hot naked women in it though, but I guess that alone was worth $2. Alright, and the next four I picked up, I did pick up off Movie John 75. He's selling some of his videos, some of his movies, and he was nice enough to sell these all to me for $1 a piece, and I really appreciate it. He let me go through his movies and pick out what I wanted first, and I picked out 4 movies of his. Got all these for $4. And as I mentioned earlier, I love documentaries, and I love Bruce Lee, and I picked up How Bruce Lee Changed the World. It's a very cool documentary on Bruce Lee, starring everybody from Jackie Chan to LL Cool J. It even has Stan Lee in it. So yeah, this is going to look nice on the shelf next to my Bruce Lee box set with all of Bruce Lee's movies in it. Very cool. The next one I picked up off Movie John 75 is a very movie. It's actually a cartoon I've always wanted to see from the 70s, and at the time it was very over the top, very controversial, and that is Fritz the Cat. Came out in 1974, I believe. It's the first X-rated cartoon ever to come out. I've heard good things about this. I'm looking forward to checking it out. Of course, by today's standards, it's very mild by today's standards, but at the time it was really something to talk about. So yeah, Fritz the Cat, looking forward to checking that out. I also picked this up off Movie John 75, and that is Peter Jackson's Bad Taste. Long before he was doing Lord of the Rings and King Kong, Peter Jackson was putting out movies like this. Very low budget, very cheesy, very bloody and gory, but still a fun movie to watch. I used to have this on DVD long time ago, actually, and I let someone borrow it and I never gave it back. So in turn, I kept one of their movies they let me borrow and never did ever give that back. And it was never brought up again, so, you know, who am I to say anything about it? But yeah, Bad Taste. Always wanted to see it. Looking forward to checking it out. And the last movie I picked up off Movie John 75. Couldn't pass this up for $1. This is 9 different movies on 3 different DVDs. This is the Cult Horror Collection. Has Don't Look in the Basement, Memorial Valley Massacre, Kill Baby Kill, The Demon, The Hatchet Murders, also known as Deep Red, Pieces, Silent Night, Bloody Night, Night of Bloody Horror, and The Horror Rises from the Tomb. Very cool. Thank you, Movie John. Appreciate it. And I promised you guys a side order of Blu-ray, and I picked up 1 Blu-ray, and I found this at Walmart for $6. Couldn't pass it up. One of Van Damme's best, and that is Kickboxer. I had this on VHS, but I really wanted to get it on Blu-ray. Besides Bloodsport and maybe No Retreat, No Surrender, this is my favorite Van Damme movie. So yeah, $6, Walmart, couldn't pass it up. Very cool movie. Back when Van Damme was actually making good movies. This is one of his best. Alright, and there you have it, people. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out my videos, supporting my channel. Please feel free to leave me comments, suggestions, questions, recommendations, anything you feel like. And stay tuned for our next video, which is going to be a big VHS update. I picked up a lot of movies off Movie John 75. I picked up a total of 13 movies off Movie John 75. VHS movies, very cool stuff. And haven't had a chance to show them off yet, but hopefully I will here very soon. So be sure and tune in for that. And as always, guys, thanks for watching my channel and watching my videos. And hopefully we'll see you guys here again very soon. All right, later, guys. Peace.